That afternoon, Thomas was busy on his branch line. He wanted to finish his jobs as fast as he could puff. Percy was disappointed. Later, Thomas puffed back to the soda steamworks. He was pleased to see it was very quiet. So Thomas was coupled up to the flatbed, and he chuffed cheerfully along towards the track that led to Hero. Then he heard the clatter of wheels and pounding pistons of a big engine behind him. Thomas huffed and puffed as fast as he could towards a siding. His boiler bubbled as he slowed to a stop. Tall trees hit Thomas from the main line. Spencer's rattle and roar came closer and closer as he rolled by. Then Spencer stopped and reversed. He was on the other side of the trees to Thomas. Thomas hardly dared to puff. Hero was very happy to see Thomas. Thomas's driver and fireman unloaded the old cylinder. Thomas smiled and steamed quickly away and puffed back towards Tiffman. Sorry about that. He chuffed around the bend, and he gasped. That night, Thomas told his friends all about his contents with Spencer. He was going to tell him about Hero, but then Sir Topham had arrived. Now Thomas didn't dare to tell his friends about Hero. Sir Topham has spoken. No broken engines. The next day, Thomas had a very busy day, but he wasn't happy. He wanted to be with Hero. Just then, Percy puffed up. Thomas looked at his best friend. He always told Percy everything. Percy was excited to help Thomas. Percy had puffed a long way. He was on tracks he didn't know. He was looking for somewhere to hide his mail trucks. Thomas huffed happily towards Hero's hideout. He was so busy thinking about helping Hero that he didn't see Spencer steaming up behind him. Thomas raced away from Spencer from the summer house as quickly as his pistons would pump. Thomas didn't dare to chuff Hero until much later. Then Thomas's driver and fireman opened up their toolboxes and started work. Then Thomas's driver and fireman opened their toolboxes and started work. Soon Hero's piston rods were in place. Thomas was puffing home as fast as his pistons could pump. He was late. He didn't have to puff past the summer house. Thomas didn't answer. He chuffed away quickly. Spencer followed close behind. Thomas was puffing fast. Then he saw Percy at the water tower, and Percy looked sad. Thomas felt sorry for his friend. Spencer had followed Thomas. Spencer had followed Thomas, and he had steamed to a stop. Spencer chuffed on. All the way to the soda steamworks, the two friends chatted and chuckled about Hero. The steamworks was very quiet. Victor was surprised to see Thomas puffing with Percy. Then Thomas saw the old parts. He knew Hero needed them. He knew he would have to tell Victor about Hero. So Thomas told Victor about Hero. Victor was amazed. Thomas and Percy were very happy. That evening, Thomas puffed into Timid's sheds. Sir Topham Hatt was waiting. He was cross. Thomas felt bad. Sir Topham Hatt's voice boomed around Timid's sheds to top the tracks. Thomas's friends looked at him. They knew something strange was going on. Thomas huffed a huge puff. He needed his friends' help. As the stars sparkled above Tidmouth, Thomas told them about Hero. Thomas told them all about Hero, and the engines never heard such an amazing story. The next morning, Thomas was a really useful engine. He huffed, and he puffed, and he shoved, and he shunted, without stopping to easel his axes. Spencer watched Thomas's every wheel turn and piston pump. Spencer did not go to the Duke and Duchess summer house. He was too busy watching Thomas to see Gordon go by pulling a flatbed of old engine parts for Hero. Thomas saw Gordon, and Gordon saw Thomas, and they both smiled. Thomas had worked all day. He was going to the soda steamworks. Gordon steamed towards Thomas. He was very happy to be helping Hero. At the soda steamworks, sparks flew and clogs creaked. Percy was almost ready to leave. Percy and Thomas smiled. Then Sir Topham Hatt arrived. He was cross. Victor could see that Thomas and Percy were worried. Thomas and Percy puffed up to Hero's hideout. Percy saw Hero for the first time. He gasped. That made Thomas and Percy smile. On their way home, Thomas and Percy chuffed cheerfully past the summer house. Their wheels whirred and their bubbles bubbled. Oh, hold on. Percy chuffed cheerily past the summer house. Their wheels whirred and their boilers bubbled. Neither of them saw Spencer. Spencer saw them. He was hiding in the shadows. Once they had. Sorry. Once they. Oh, hold on. Give me a sec. Once they had passed, he slid silently out of the siding to find his mail cars. Emily was busy doing Thomas's jobs on his branch line. Spencer watched her. Emily didn't take any notice of him. This made Spencer cross. Spencer didn't really like this. Spencer really didn't like this. He stared hard at Emily. He stared hard at Emily. Spencer stared so hard that he didn't see Percy or Thomas puff by on the upper track. Nor did he see Edward huff of a flap at a parts for Hero. That evening, Thomas and Percy puffed up to Hero's hideout. Hero's boiler was finished. He was a colorful patchwork of parts. Thomas and Percy were very happy. For the first time, Thomas and Percy heard Hero laugh, loud, long, and happy. The next morning, Thomas and Percy searched the quarry for mail cars. They couldn't find the cars, but they found Spencer. Mavis was delighted to see Spencer. Thomas and Percy thought it was very funny. Spencer didn't. He scowled, and he didn't see James puffing by with a flap of all parts for Hero. Mavis probably took Spencer under the slate hopper. He chuffed too quickly, then too slowly. He rolled back too far. Slate and dust flew down his boiler and bounced off his boiler.